Okay, hello and welcome. Wow, it's been a long time, my Argonaut folk. I haven't made a video on this channel in. I'll have to check. I'll have to check. It has been a while. This might be my first one in 2017. In which case, I apologize. It's been so long. Oh, Isashiburi. Nice to see you again. A lot has happened in the past 6 months. And it's now almost the very end of July as I film this, and I wanted to, I'm about to start, well, I'm starting, my summer vacation has started, and I find myself with some time to do stuff, you know, anything I want. And one of the things I wanted to do was get back to making the occasional video. I've got this wonderful new computer, and I'm going to get to that later with some questions that I have from my buddy Victor in Nagoya. Give me a break, man. And I wanted to use it and utilize it and relearn. I haven't used iMovie in forever to make video vlogs, etc. A lot of the attention of my brain and my effort and time as far as YouTube goes is now mostly spent on my sumo channel, which is Jason's All Sumo channel. You can just type in Jason Sumo in YouTube and you'll find it. Where I'm about to pass in subscribers, I'm about to pass on my sumo channel the amount of subscribers I have on my, what for years I've called my main channel, but maybe I should stop saying that. The sumo thing just keeps getting more and more popular, and more people are jumping on board and enjoying the coverage there. So if you're at all interested in the Japanese traditional sport of sumo, every odd-numbered month I am posting videos. I post about 80 in a 15-day period to cover each and every basho tournament. But getting back to this channel, so I want to ask some questions to Victor, and I'll put a timestamp down in the description box. If you're a Victor fan and you just want to see what I'm talking about with Victor, go down there and I'll say, oh, it starts at 7 minutes 45 or whatever it is, because I'll probably ramble a bit in between. What else? Oh, I've got my new. Can you read that? Oh no. Okay, there you go. Bonus points if you can read that and you know what that's a reference to. There's a back. Oh, I can show you maybe. There's a back design too. Oh, no. So this is a shirt I just got off the internet. I get shirts offered to me a lot on my Facebook page. Because I buy shirts from time to time off the internet. I can't really shop for clothes in Japan still, because this is a 5XL American size, so I have to buy big shirts. Okay, so what have I wanted to tell you? I wanted to ramble a bit, and the first thing I wanted to tell you was I just today bought some new media, and maybe you guys know this movie. So it's got the actual English title there. And this just came out on Blu-ray in in Japan today. So I pre-ordered on Amazon.co.jp, where I'm a Prime member. I do a lot of ordering through them, and I can watch TV. Oh, excuse me. Not John. I can watch TV through Amazon.prime. Not .prime, just Amazon Prime. Japan, and they obviously, they for instance, I'm watching something called Man in the High Castle, which is based on a great Philip Dick book, the guy who wrote Blade Runner and other things. And you have a choice. You know, you can watch the subtitled version or the dubbed version, so you just have to be careful. But it's worth it. Prime is a lot less. It's only about 4,000 yen for the year in Japan, where I think it's about $80 for a year in America. But of course, America's a much bigger place and stuff, so there you go. But anyway, so I pre-ordered this and it came the same day because I'm a Prime member that it came out. And it does have, oh, I don't know if it'll focus. I don't know how to make my thing focus. But it does have number 2 there. You can't really read it because it's not going to focus. Maybe if I get really close. Focus, focus. It does have English subtitles. It doesn't have a dub track, which I think there'll be a domestic release in America because it got released to theaters in America. Yeah, here it just has uh, Chinese, English, Japanese, and then like Japanese for the hearing impaired subtitles. So I haven't seen it. I bought it just because it's the #1 movie in Japan this past year. One of the highest grossing movies in Japan forever. Like, I think it's now the highest grossing animated film in Japan of all time, passing a lot of Ghibli films. And everyone tells me it's wonderful. So sight unseen, I paid about 3,800 yen, Amazon price, to get it. And I will probably watch it tonight. So that's exciting. I want to get into that. I wish more movies that are Japanese had subtitles, because I can't, watch a movie with just straight Japanese. It's just going to lose me. My Japanese is still not quite that good. My summer reading, I think a lot of you know that I'm a professor, and I taught history at a university. No, I'm sorry, I taught English at a university, and now I actually finally get to teach history, but now I'm back at a high school, a private high school that offers the International Baccalaureate program, the IB program, to the students. So a few select students at my school take all their classes mostly, except for Kokugo Japanese and like PE. But almost all their classes, the major course subjects, are all in English. They study everything in English. So science in English, history, that's me in English, English in English, language arts, math in English, everything's in English. So we are just starting. We just got approved to be an IB school, so my first cohort is going through the process. They're 11th graders now. They'll graduate next year. And you can take standard level classes as an IB student, or you can take higher level classes, which just means you do everything that standard level students do, plus some. So for the regular class, I have a textbook and I'm going through it, and there's certain umbrella subjects that we're studying, and it's kind of in my wheelhouse. And then for the higher level, there was like 18 topics that you could choose from, and I sat down. There's only 3 students in that class who chose to take higher level history. So I sat down with the 3 of them at the beginning of the semester, and I said, okay, well, let's look at this list. What do you guys want to study? And so we just wrote down our each student wrote down their top 3 on a piece of paper, submitted them to me. I said, okay, well, you both picked this one, so let's put that on our major list. And we whittled it down, and we came up with 3. So we're studying the Silk Road, the Chinese to Europe highway of, if you will, of trade from like 700 to about 1500 AD, and Kublai Khan and Marco Polo and all that stuff. We're studying Japan, which is kind of one I pushed for, because we're studying Japan and Germany and Italy and the 3 Axis powers and their expansionism and militarism and fascism and things like that pre-World War II, the build-up to World War II, as part of the SL course. So we're now, the HL students are studying Japan from the end of the war to, say, 1980, or maybe even the year 2000. We haven't gotten into the more modern stuff yet. So the occupation, post-occupation, economic miracle, etc. And this I don't know a lot about, but luckily I have Japanese teacher colleagues who are around to help a little bit. They, speak Japanese, but whatnot. But so that's something sort of new to me. I did minor in Japanese studies in college, but a lot of what we studied was like Meiji era. I studied modern Japan, like the political system. So I know a lot about the LDP and the way the diet works here and how you get a prime minister and stuff. But even that was stuff I studied 15 years ago, And then the third thing we're studying is New Zealand and Australia, and immigration to those 2 countries, and how immigration has changed those 2 countries, how they opened up their immigration policy in the 20th century, and that influx of new people that they got. Where did they come from? How did it affect the society? How did the people that came affect the indigenous people, the Maori or the Aborigines, etc., is our third topic. So my summer reading is this book. I gave each of my students a small book that I got, like, kind of like almost like a Cliff Notes to History book, put out by Oxford. There was about 100 pages on each of those three things, and then I'm going to read about a half of this book, which is the part one section, Japan before the Edo period, the incubation of the modern Japanese state, restoration to occupation, the miracle, the institutions of high-speed growth, and consequences. So about to page 175. And then it jumps to today's Japan, and I don't think I need to know as much about that. But if I'm liking it, I'll keep going. So I got about 175 pages of this to read in the next 2 weeks. But I'm a history head, so that's what I like to do. I like to read nonfiction, and that's what I'll be doing. Are you reading anything good this summer? Are you taking a class or doing anything like that? Let me know. Put a comment down in the comment section. So if any of you have read this book, Japan and the Shackles of the Past, by R. Taggart Murphy, let me know what you thought of it, because I'm about to delve in. I'll probably start reading it this weekend. Unfortunately, you guys know me, I love movies and stuff. The movie that opens the movie that opened the very first weekend of my spring break, which was last weekend, was the new Minions Despicable Me movie, which they don't show with subtitles, just dubbed into Japanese, and that's fine. It's a kid's movie, it's a cartoon. So I can't go see that really. This weekend, the movie opening is The Mummy with Tom Cruise, which I've just heard is so toxic. The one good thing in a way about Japan being behind on release dates is you really can get a wide view of reviews and non-spoiler. People are pretty good about that now on the internet. Non-spoiler reviews, and you can get a sense of whether a movie's worth paying, the 1,800 yen or more that you pay to see a movie here. I've just heard it's terrible. I like Tom Cruise. I like the old Mummy movies and stuff, but everyone says it was bad. So I'm going to avoid that at the theater. I might rent it, for $2.50 later on when it comes out at the rental shop. Yes, we still go and rent Blu-rays here and DVDs. What else? Oh, and then the next weekend is Transformers. What is it, 5? I don't know. The one with, the King Arthur bullshit. No interest. I think the Transformer movies are awful. I'm a little older than like the niche that would, that has kind of member berries for Transformers. I don't have those. So I saw the first one. Okay, it was fun. I could see it. Michael Bay, I liked him at the time. I liked The Rock. Bad Boys, I thought, okay, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great. It wasn't terrible. And then the second one was so bad that I haven't seen the third or fourth one, and I have no plans to see the fifth one. Which, again, there's one critic that I like on YouTube, which, if you don't know him, his name is the Nostalgia Critic. And he did a review of Transformers because he's gotten so tired of the franchise that predicted like almost everything that was going to happen in the movie without even watching it, like a week before it came out or something. And I watched a review of his review, and he was like 90% correct. So they're just predictable schlock. And yeah, so I'm not going to pay money to see that. So finally, the weekend before I have to go back to work on August 11th, we finally get Spider-Man Homecoming. So I will get one good movie that I can go to the theaters during my break and go see. Everyone says the Spider-Man movie is a lot of fun, and so I can't wait to see that. Still haven't gotten Wonder Woman. That's late August. War for the Planet of the Apes, which I'm so excited about, is October. What else? Dunkirk is September. Alien Covenant, which I've heard is not great, but I'm such an Alien fan, hardcore, that I will pay money to see that on a big screen, and that's September. So yeah, it's just a lot of delays. I think we get Thor Ragnarok the same time, and we get The Last Jedi, the Star Wars movie, around the same time. And I don't think there's going to be a delay in Justice League either. So if you've been watching Comic-Con footage, all the trailers have been bombarding you, and they've been bombarding me too. I watch all that stuff. I like to keep up on American pop culture. as much as I can, even though it's been 3 years now since I was back in America. The last time I went to America was 2014. So I'm doing my best to go next year. I just talked to my dad on the phone, who's living in an elderly retirement home, and he's like, "You're not coming this summer?" And I'm like, "No, Dad, I'm sorry, but I'm really going to try next year. I really am going to try. So next summer, I'll be in San Diego." Okay, so let's do questions for Victor. It's a 15 minutes. Oh my God, I rambled so much. Okay, so one question is, I've got this set up now. I need a good light. I've got my window open right now, which is why this kind of side of my face is, and there's still some light out. It's about 6:30 p.m. and the light's going away, and I've got an overhead fluorescent. That's all I've got in this room. So if it's dark and I want to vlog at nighttime, or if it's cloudy or rainy or something and I don't have any outside light, what do you recommend, Victor, for a light source that I can put up maybe behind the computer or over in this corner of the desk to maybe light and put some light on my face and make it not so dark and uneven? A microphone. I'd like to maybe just plug in a USB mic and, you know, have it kind of sit here. And I know there's a bunch of different kinds. So Victor, if I know you've tried a bunch. If other people, if you've done vlogs and you've tried different microphones, I want something that'll sit on the desk, that will work easily with iMovie, because I don't want, you know, I don't want to separately record a track on GarageBand and then have to input. No, I just want something that's going to plug in and become the microphone that will then record to video when I turn on the little iSight camera there on my Mac. Because I know the audio is low and a little thick, and I think it needs some treble. And you know, I'm not that great technically with computers. So a microphone and a light source, please, Victor, if you'll enlighten me. And the other thing that I just thought, you know, Victor and I could talk about vis-a-vis a video here, if he feels like making a response, and he might have already made a response to this, is I was reading an interesting article that kind of went around Facebook among my friends that live here in Japan, and it was written by a guy who lives in China. And by all, I can't quite remember, but basically he's a foreigner, what we would call a gaijin in Japan. So he's somebody that lives in China, but you can look at him and go, "Oh, you're not Chinese." Okay, so let's just say he's white or he's black. He's not Chinese American, for instance. I think he's either British or Canadian, but it's not important. The basic thing is like I said, you look at him and you know, oh, you're a foreigner. Okay. And he wrote an article that got published in like one of the British press or Al Jazeera or one of the international presses, and I'll try to find the link and put it down in the description. And basically he's complaining. He's lived abroad in China now for like 15 years. He's learned the language. He's married a Chinese woman. You know, he feels like he's fluent in Chinese. Or, you know, I know there's a few different ones, but whichever one he needs to be able to speak on a daily basis, probably Mandarin, I think, is the most common one. And yet, you know, he's not accepted as being Chinese, and he pretty much never will be. And he's lamenting in the article about how he's never going to be accepted in the country completely, and how it's kind of turned him off after a while now, and he's starting to wonder if he's going to live forever, you know, live out his days in China. And I thought about that, and it just struck me as interesting because, like Victor, and I could be getting this wrong, I believe Victor was born in a foreign country in Peru and then moved with his parents to America when he was very young. Or his parents are from Peru and moved to America, and he was born in America and raised in America. I, too, have foreign-born parents. My parents were born in England, and they moved to America in the 1960s, and I was born in 1969 in California. So I have dual citizenship, but I have an American passport. I have an American accent. So like a lot of families of immigrants, where the child, you know, interacts in English all day, you know, speaks and acts like an American all day, but then goes home and their parents speak a different language and have a funny accent. The only real difference is my parents had funny accents, but they spoke English, obviously, because they came from Britain. So they weren't speaking Polish in the house or German or French Or in the case, like I had a longtime girlfriend in my 20s, and she was the exact same as me. Her parents were from Korea, and they came to America. They met in America. They came separately. They met in America, and then they had their 4 kids, and they were all born in America. And so Heather is just as American as I am. You know, we're both exactly the same amount of American. But of course, people would look at her because she looks Korean, because it's not like she was half or anything like that. Even though if you talk to her on the phone and with the name Heather, people would just assume that she was Californian, because she had very Californian, more Californian than me, because she'd grown up there her whole life. I grew up in California and in Texas and some other places. And then, like I can't tell you the number of times we would go somewhere, like she pre-ordered tickets or made a reservation for a restaurant, and then she'd go in and say, oh, table for Heather, and then, but you're Heather, because, they just didn't assume that the face matched the voice. And it's like that, Find My Parents Ken video. What's his name? Ken, you guys know who I'm talking about. And, where the woman is jogging along and the guy stops her and the woman's Asian. And he's like, oh, well, where are you from? And she's like, Oakland, and stuff. And the guy's like, well, no, where are you really from? Well, I was born in, Sacramento, but I grew up in Oakland. And he's like, no, where are your family from, and stuff. And he's basically trying to say, what kind of Asian are you? And so that never happens to me because I'm, the ultimate white guy. But so that was strange. So I thought about that a little bit in reference to this article. Like, I was born of immigrant parents, but I was born in America, and I consider myself very strongly to be American. I'm very proud of being an American. And, when people talk about America here in Japan, I don't necessarily defend American stuff, but I feel like I'm an informed American. I try to stay up on what's current in the news. I obviously was a history major in college. I studied American history because I wanted to minor in Japanese, so I had to do American history as my major. I feel like I know a fair amount about the country and the people that live there. I've lived in some different parts of the country, so I don't feel like I'm just all getting one perspective of one city all my life. And but at the same time, I feel that Americanness, and I don't feel British, although obviously every relative is British, grandparents, aunts, uncles, cousins, everybody's British except me and my sister and my brother. And I do feel a bond with England, and of course, my parents, when I see them and stuff, they obviously have English accents. I don't hear it almost because they're my parents, but when other people always remark on it, because my dad's accent always remained pretty thick. And so, but it would not be the same if I had married any woman and come over to Japan and had a child here in Japan. If my child were born in Japan, especially if I married a white woman, it would be a white child. And even though it grew up in Japan, spoke fluent Japanese, went to school in Japan, etc., it would never be accepted as Japanese. And I wondered about that, and I went, yeah, that's kind of messed up. So I don't know how I feel about that. And I know families now that have kids, and I have a colleague at work who just recently had a child, and he's got a Japanese wife, so the child is he's from a foreign country, so the child is going to be what we call hafu, half here in Japan. And it'll depend a little bit on how strongly Japanese he looks versus how white he looks. But it's a different life. And that's a whole different subject. Like if you're half, how much can you be accepted as being Japanese if you only have one parent that's Japanese versus both? And but yeah, it's weird. I don't know. So why is that? Why do my parents from England get to go over and have me, or my former girlfriend's parents from Korea get to go over and have her, and we can sort of proudly say we're American, and you can't do the same thing, come over here to Japan and have a child who grows up in Japan, and etc., and they're not considered Japanese. And is it fair? So is it an ethnicity thing? Is it a nationality thing? Is it a race thing? I don't know. I feel like Victor's probably made a video about this. So Victor, if you have, please leave a comment with a link to it. I'd like to watch it and see what your thoughts are on this. It's just something I've been thinking about recently. And it's not going to affect me probably for how long I stay and live here, because I'm not married, and I doubt I will get married. So, raising a family here is not a concern. I don't have to think about, well, do I want them to go through a Japanese school system? Do I want them to put in an international school? Do I want them to keep learning English, to really, let them learn Japanese but speak English with me, and blah blah. All these questions that you have when you're a parent of a child here, and you're not Japanese yourself. I don't have anything. I just got to keep myself happy. And if the movies came out more on time, I'd be more happy. But anyway, so that's some of the things I've been thinking about. And gosh, this vlog went on really long. I apologize for that, but maybe it's all bottled up in there, and I just wanted to talk to you guys for so long. So I hope to make more of these. And in fact, I'm going to announce it here, I'm going to be making a weekly vlog for sure about the TV show on Netflix called Terrace House. I'm obsessed with this show. It's maybe not the best time to start, because it might end in like 7 episodes or something. But I'm going to start. And then hopefully, we'll get the ball rolling. We'll get some people interested. We'll get more of you to watch it. And then when they start a new season, which I think they're probably going to do maybe early next year, we can all start to watch it together, and we'll watch it from the beginning together and I'll weekly vlog it. I'd like to do that because I really do enjoy talking about media, and I can't really do it too much with people at work, and my students. None of my students really watch Netflix. And anyway, they're too busy studying, and it's not like, well, enough of that history stuff. Let's talk Terrace House. I can't really do that with my students. So, I try to keep up on what's going on with them, which is one of the reasons I bought this. I try to be, the hip teacher and know what's popular, but it's so hard. It's really difficult, especially with like music and TV shows. But anyway, all right, I'm gonna let it go there. 27 minutes. If you watched all the way to this point, write down the color of this pen in the comments. Just write green pen in the comments, and I'll know you watched all the way to the end, and I will give you a little, heart emoji or whatever they give now. I'll like your comment. Just thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, and thanks for sticking with the channel. If you haven't unsubscribed, etc., I really do hope to be putting some more content on here. Like I said, I want to get a light, and I want to get a microphone, and I want to make, I've got this space now. I feel like my little space here. I want to start making some more videos about observations in life and stuff, and tell you about things that are going on in teaching. Talk about JET from time to time. As the new class is getting ready to come, and so omerito to them for getting the job, and gambate to them, do your best for coming to Japan, especially with this hot, humid weather we're having. So, and anyway, so yeah, that's it. Thanks you guys for watching, and Victor, if you watch, thank you, and I'll leave links down in the comments as I can, and we'll see you again, hopefully, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday? Yeah, tomorrow or Saturday. I think I'll put up my Terrace House vlog. So look for something else in your subscription feed soon. Okay, guys, peace.